Welcome to Business in the Black, the podcast where ideas become plans, plans become actionable items, and actionable items become results. We're the go-to resource for Black entrepreneurs ready to build, grow, and dominate their industries. Each episode delivers real stories from real founders, their wins, their struggles, and the game-changing lessons that fuel success. From funding strategies to scaling secrets, we're serving up the knowledge, connections, and inspiration you need to transform your vision into victory. This is where Black excellence meets business mastery. Let's get to work. Eating is a necessity, but cooking is an art. Author unknown. Welcome to another episode of Business in the Black. We are so excited today to be outside. You know, literally, people always, oh, I'm outside. Oh, you outside? We outside. But we're here with Chef Darius Lintz of My Mama Said You Can't Cook. So, welcome, Darius.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we're here, like I say, in the heart of Atlanta. You see we have a couple of staples back there in the background, and we're ready to jump right in. Let's start from the name evolution. I mean, I know you went from My Daddy Said You Can't Cook to My Mama Said You Can't Cook. What inspired the original name, and what prompted you to change it after that partnership split?
Really, when it came down to the actual origin of the name, it started from actually my son. My son, he was a big determining factor behind it because, he was 2 years old at the time. I was just then, not just then, but really getting into this fatherhood thing when it came down to really being the man that I wanted to be as a father. So, really being able to do that, and then a lot of times when I was cooking, he would come in the kitchen just to be able to stand there and watch me and observe me. So my son, he does come a lot from me when it comes down to our characteristics and things like that. I think a lot of people who know me and know my son can be able to kind of really be able to say that. But, when it came down to dealing with him, it sounded like something that he would say that to somebody else. My daddy said you can't cook and stuff like that. No, I didn't say that. But, so yeah, it really came from him. And I actually started partnering up with a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine was somebody who did more so management when it came down to different companies and things like that. So when I decided to go ahead and partner up with him, worked well with it. And, somewhere just out of nowhere, a lot of times when you deal with people, a lot of times things just come out of left field. So he kind of hit me with like I got the money, so really, I can go ahead and handle this by myself. Okay, cool. Let's find out how that works.
Right.
So, I still like the feeling behind the name as far as the energy that it carried.
Right.
And such, because a lot of times when I told people about it, then they were just like, oh, that's kind of funny. I like the way that sounds. This is new.
Yeah.
So I switched it over to, My Mama Said You Can't Cook, just because my mother is a big inspiration behind a lot of stuff I do.
Before we even get into the business, let's talk about Chef Darius Lintz. Who is Chef Darius Lintz? What made you fall in love with the culinary arts? And what kind of keeps you focused on it? Because when you're not talking about like the business side, what makes you still want to keep cooking and keep going?
Well, first, Chef Darius Lintz is someone that is really inspired by inspiration and creativity. I've been really cooking since I was, I want to say about 17. A lot of the cooking and the idea that I had when it came down to even jumping into culinary arts in the first place was really inspired by my grandmother. My grandmother was in culinary arts. She had jumped into culinary, I want to say at the age of probably like 55, maybe between 55 and 60.
Okay.
Graduated, probably went to culinary school, graduated probably 2 years later. Got her associate's degree within it, and it kind of inspired me to be able to move in that direction, and to be able to do it at a younger age, but also to be able to, make food that was inspirational inspirational behind the food that she gave me when I was young.
Gotcha.
A lot of times I'd be able to come over to the house on a Sunday and go ahead and get those good fried pork chops with the garlic mashed potatoes, asparagus, and you know, a good old cup of Kool-Aid.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
you know,
What color?
There's always red.
Red Kool-Aid.
Red cup of
Yeah.
Kool-Aid, yes sir. So I think things like that is what kind of inspired me when it came down to turning up a notch and being able to do things that I observed in different restaurants. I love going out to eat just to be able to observe, you know, creative characteristics within different types of places, different types of foods. And I think doing that is what prompted me to be able to go to culinary school, graduate, and then kind of keep going with it, working in different restaurants, different hotels, to kind of where I'm at today, to really be able to have mastered a lot of gourmet Southern cooking, and to be able to take it up to another level when it comes out to my own personal business.
Yeah.
So I definitely was inspired by that.
You just referenced, you know, working in different places and, you know, it helping you to hone in on your skills and what have you. Talk to me about being the executive chef at the Hilton Garden Inn. And, you know, apparently you were given a lot of autonomy there. You know, it wasn't just your cookie cutter, put mashed potatoes and, you know, whatever they serve. You know, I don't really eat, you know, I didn't eat that kind of food because chef wasn't cooking. So tell us, you know, kind of, you know, what experience that gave you, given those capabilities and that sort of thing. And, you know, what was a specific moment that you said, you know what, I can do this myself?
Yeah. Well, when I first started there, really when it came down to me cooking, I would really be cooking during the PM shift.
Mm-hmm.
PM shift was also something that when it came down to the menu itself, it had the basics of, you know, your burgers, your fries, your steak and mashed potatoes, and you know, things like that. And then I think on Friday nights they would have like a specialty item where, you know, the chef was able to kind of make his own little chef-inspired meal, and then really be able to set it at the price point that was, you know, that they were feeling comfortable with. I think at that moment, to be able to have the room and the creativity to be able to not just name what it is that I wanted to make on a Friday night, but then to also be able to set the price point, kind of gave me the idea of like, I could really do this by myself.
Yeah.
So what actually ended up happening was I met someone that I was, you know, talking to at the time, and she kind of came eat with me probably every Wednesday or Thursday. Sit down at the bar, eat, and at that time, while she was coming to eat with me, then I would also notice that the bars were filling up a lot more. Not because it was any good drinks or anything like that. I mean, it was great drinks, but because of the food that I was making. So I think within that understanding, and then with her being able to tell me, like, you know, your food is really, really good. I knew it was good, but it's a difference between you knowing your food is good and then someone else being able to tell you, like, this is on a different type of level, so you should really move forward with being able to try something by yourself. Was really kind of where I kind of got the idea of, like, I'm about to really go ahead and take this by myself and go ahead and do my own thing.
Gotcha.
So I think that was what really pushed me to that point of really try something just for me.
Okay. Shout out to Bernadine.
Oh yes, definitely shout out to Bernadine.
Yeah, that's it. If you don't know who Bernadine is, you just keep watching the show. You'll figure it out at some point. You know, everybody has a passion, and we've already heard one of your passions, and you know, reasons of why or what have you with your grandmother, and you know, her business and all of that sort of thing. But you also worked at Gwinnett County Jail in the kitchen. Yeah, and so hearing inmate stories inspired your why. And so shifting from just it being a family thing and enjoying cooking, share one conversation or moment that stuck with you and made you say, I want to offer people, meaning inmates, second chances through employment.
Yeah. Well, I think for one, me being able to work in the kitchen with inmates that also work in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. A lot of these inmates were inmates that were in the jail for low-level crimes, and they were just waiting to be able to see when they were going to get out.
Yeah,
that's it. But when it came down to working with them in the kitchen, we also had conversations. I had a lot of conversations with them. To, you know, I would greet them early in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning and such. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
rough. But 2 a.m. in the morning to be able to have conversations and being able to cook, but I'm also, working in there to give direction on, hey, here's what we need, such and such and such. Talking to them about, what it is that they want to do when they leave.
Yeah.
A lot of times they were really inspirational, even for myself, to be able to say like, hey, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
There were some things that I made a mistake before I came in here. I made a lot of mistakes, but I also miss my family, and I also really want to be able to get my life back in order to the place that it needs to be. So when it came down to that, knowing that they were cutting up a lot of vegetables, they were cooking a lot of different things, and then also knowing that they wanted a second opportunity to be able to, come out and start their life over from scratch, with knowing that they have a family and things like that. But also me on the outside, knowing what's there and what's not there. There's not a whole lot of opportunities for individuals with felonies to be able to come out and try something new when it comes down to culinary, even logistics. You have to have certain things. You cannot have a felony. Sometimes you have to have certain type of certifications and things like that. A lot of these guys do not have those things.
Right.
They'll probably try to get some of them inside jail and things like that, which is cool. However, the issue is that when they get out, which one is going to give them an opportunity that is going to pay them something that is fair enough for them to be able to work as a low level inmate, but at the same time to be able to take care of yourself and your family.
Right.
In that moment of really being able to put all that together in my mind, I was really inspired to be able to think about, like, well, a lot of people put together different types of companies, and a lot of people kind of put together different types of things for themselves when it comes down to really, being able to make money, and also really being able to do something as far as a company that will take them to another level.
Yeah.
For me, it's not even about money. It's not even about, obviously everybody wants financial, to be financially stable.
Right.
Financial stability is always important, but at the same time, like, what can I do in this lifetime that will be able to kind of stretch me out for the long haul when it comes down to my last day on this earth, where other people can be able to look back and say, I remember Darius Lintz.
Yeah.
And he did something phenomenal when it came down to starting this company that changed other people's lives. So I think that's something that I really had inspired to do in that moment, and I said, yeah, this is what I'm going for.
Wow. What a legacy. In addition to your food being good, another thing that probably brought the people to the bar back at the hotel was just the presentation and the attention to detail. So you mentioned that, detail in food preparation, it changed people's perception of hotel restaurant dining. What does that attention to detail look like in practice, and why is it so important to your identity as a chef?
Attention to detail is probably the most important thing to me as a chef, because it says a lot about you as a chef when it comes down to your character and how you care about the presentation of your food. It says a lot about your cleanliness as a chef when it comes down to the area that you actually cook in. And it says a lot about yourself when it comes down to you being able to put together a plate. I know the first time I made a filet a la Oscar, my very first filet Oscar, I had to be about 22. I had a Chef Alex. Shout out to Chef Alex Cook. It's my favorite chef. That's my guy. But when I actually was making this filet a la Oscar, there was several things that it requires when it comes down to garlic mashed potatoes. It comes down to grilled asparagus, your crab meat, and then also a filet mignon. So these different aspects of it, like the garlic mashed potatoes, I had down pat. The grilled asparagus, I had down pat. It came down to the actual filet mignon itself that needed to be cooked at medium rare. I ended up actually making it at a medium, and I almost felt like I got smacked upside the back of the head by the way that he came and talked to me and said, I asked for a medium rare steak.
Yeah.
Darius, this is not that. Do this over again.
Yeah.
And I had done it probably about 3 or 4 times after that because of that one specific item. In that moment and in that actual day, I understood immediately exactly what he was talking about when it came down to attention to detail, because I mean that actual plate itself, I mean during that time that was probably a $35 plate. Lord knows how much it is now.
Yeah.
But it's an expensive dish.
Right.
So when it comes down to something that is as exquisite and that needs a lot of detail within it and needs perfection, it's very important that it is being given that, because it also spews into other parts of your work when it comes down to cleanliness. When it comes down to your character as a chef, when it comes down to your character as a person,
Right.
it says a lot about how you handle different aspects of who you are to be able to be the chef that you want to be. So I think that has really shaped and molded me as an individual, and a lot of people who know me knows that, at least when it comes down to the kitchen, I'm very detailed within that aspect to be able to make sure that everything looks, smells, and feels as good as it needs to be.
Awesome. Yeah. Getting hungry and hungry as we keep to talk. You initially planned to start a catering business, but with the partner changes and all that sort of thing, a visit to the Georgia State Fair shifted everything. Walk me through that transition, and what did you see at the fair that made you pivot to becoming a vendor?
But yeah, when I started originally as a vendor, I reflected back on being a caterer when it came down to what I was doing originally. My daddy said you can't cook. And my daddy said you can't cook. I had maybe, my first 2 gigs throughout the year, which had maybe 20 to 30 different people that I was catering for, which is cool. But the issue is that when it comes down to those 20 or 30 people that you're catering for, 20 or 30 people that you're catering for does not mean make plates for 20 or 30 people. Right? 20 or 30 people means that you are actually cooking for 60 to 70. And it's always double the amount, just because somebody's always got to bring their cousin or their mama or somebody else like that.
Right.
Which is cool. So when it comes out to doing things like that, there's understanding of who it is that you're cooking for. There's understanding of where it is that you're keeping your items to be able to keep them warm. There's also understanding of how often these people are eating, so that way you can be able to know how fast you need to come in and out and bring out this food. By the time you are starting this, and by the time you are finishing it, you really sit there scratching your head to be able to wonder with the amount that I made from this, was it actually worth me doing it? When I started as a vendor back in March, that had to have been the most enjoyable aspect of culinary that I've had within the past 7 to 10 years. Just because of being able to have the upfront interactions with people. And people are very blunt and straight to the point and will tell you like, hey, nah, this ain't it. So when it came down to the vending that I did at the Westside Motor Lounge, I had a great time with it because it was an all-day type of aspect, from doing it from 4 until 10. But also, when it came down to being able to the people that I was cooking for, it was like, more so like Metro Atlanta people. I was able to make food for one person at a time, and then also being able to get their immediate reaction afterwards. Mm-hmm. They would let me know how it looked. They also tell me how it smelled, and then they would also lastly tell me how it tasted, because they would swing back around and be able to say, hey, this is excellent, I like this. And that means a lot to me, because it's very inspirational to be able to know how my food tastes from people that are, aside from people that are close to me, aside from people that are friends to me. I mean, they're going to tell me the truth, but at the same time, they're telling me the truth with the idea of being able to inspire me to be able to push forward and do something more. Right. These people are just going to give me the straight up, like, because they don't have any type of ties to me or anything like that. So with knowing that, I appreciate them even being able to come back around and say, "This is it, bro. This is what I like right here."
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of the event at the Westside Motor Lounge, Metro Atlanta, so the people coming with all their big stuff or what have you. You showed up in your own words, looking, amateurish with your amateurish equipment, and while the competitors, the people around you, were, had all these elaborate grills and presentations. What was going through your mind that first night, and how close were you to feeling defeated?
Well, to kind of start that question off, I was feeling almost defeated the moment I stepped out the car, honestly. Because being able to have my own booth set up, and then these people that had their booth set up, they were 10 feet across the way, and such. But these were people who do this every single year. They had the nice looking tables. They had their brand name on it and everything. I simply had I had my banner, and then I also had my flat top. Flat top I purchased probably a week before, and and then I had, of course, the food itself. So when it comes down to things like that, me, I'm a little bit different when it comes down to observing somebody and knowing that they are in their natural element, but also knowing that when it comes down to, in a sense of like almost competition, seeing somebody else and knowing that they are at the top of where they are at, and this is as good as it gets. I have the room to be able to say, cool, you are exactly where you need to be, and you are at the top of your game, but I've got a lot of room to be able to go ahead and step over. Because like I say, in the sense of culinary arts, I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
So, but I was also nervous about it because of the price point that they were selling it at. When I started, the first day, starting at 4 o'clock, I would say around from 4 to 5, I had nobody. I had nobody coming up for any type of food or anything like that. I would say about 5 o'clock, I had my first customer come up, and they were asking what it is that we sold and things like that. And I kind of told them that the banner was pretty much my company name. I'm also selling Philly cheesesteak quesadillas as well as chicken quesadillas. I made my very first Philly cheesesteak quesadilla for them. They took it, they walked away, they came back probably about 5 minutes later, and they said, "This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal. I gotta have another one."
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that, just because, me coming from, the many different kitchens that I've cooked in, somebody, as a chef, you want to hear those type of things.
Right.
When I worked at the Hilton, I always wanted to hear and get feedback of what it is that I was doing. And I knew that I was going in a good direction. So, doing that really put me in a position of knowing that I have the smaller items, but in the sense of maybe in a biblical sense of David and Goliath.
Yeah.
Goliath was big, and he was everything that it looked like when it comes down to somebody that can put their hands on you.
Right.
But when it came down to David, all he needed was a rock and a slingshot to go upside your head.
Right.
And that's what it felt like
Yeah.
to me. So
your equipment was your rock and slingshot.
Exactly.
I'm feeling it.
Exactly.
Yeah. The couple that ordered the Philly cheesesteak, they didn't just come back and tell you it was good. Apparently, it blew up after that. The people started, going around, ooh, y'all got to taste this Philly cheesesteak quesadilla, and the word started spreading. So, describe that moment again. You said it felt good when they came back, but describe the moment when you realized that other people were coming up talking about what they had talked about. And you literally just talked about David and Goliath and the equipment and all that sort of thing. All that had to be feeling good. So just paint the picture for us, of what you were feeling in that moment.
Nervous, but excited at the same time, because this is exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody that starts off with a company and starts off with a smaller company and works alongside larger people with larger companies can really be able to say that, they came in with their chest out and anything like that. No.
Yeah.
I came in humble, and I came in nervous, but also knowing that I can do this.
Yeah.
So I think it felt like something very exciting to me, because as I was being able to watch the lines start getting longer and longer, I also knew like, all right, we'll have to pick up the pace a little bit because we can observe later on.
Right.
But we're going to have to start picking up this pace to be able to see what it is that we're about to do. We're just going off from 4 to 10. We got 6 hours.
Right.
6 hours to be able to make something happen. So I think that was an exciting feeling. I think that it was something that I was really thinking about when it came down to what I was actually praying for, and with the month prior when I knew that I had signed up for this in the first place.
Right.
And I really understand. I really remember having a conversation with God in that moment, saying, "Me and you got to have a conversation later on, because I really appreciate this."
I'm getting excited now.
But I never knew what it is that was going to happen in the first place. I knew what I asked for, but I never knew this depth of it would be able to come in this extra long line, and then being able to look at, the other competition across the way to be able to say, like, their line isn't as long as this.
Right.
And such. But, at the same time, it was a humble feeling.
Yeah.
Very humble feeling. So I think that was really the larger feeling that I had in that moment.
Awesome. So this event was very successful for you. You sold 80 plates in 2 days at $14 a plate.
Yes.
All right, while your competitors were charging $22. That's that Frank Lucas American Gangster strategy you got going on. But why was it so important for you to come in at that price point when you knew that you could charge more?
I think it was more important to me because when it came down to a brand name, like a lot like Denzel said, it is a brand name.
Yeah.
My mama says you can't cook is a brand name. To be able to understand that gourmet Southern cooking in the Atlanta area is something that is almost, I wouldn't say looked down upon or anything like that, but it's almost looked at when a brand new restaurant opens, in Cascade or Camel Road or, off of Moreland Ave or anything like that. Some people almost kind of like, oh, okay, great, because they know what's about to happen.
Right.
It's going to be really good food, but it's also going to be food that's going to be sold at an unnecessarily high price.
Right.
And then, like, well, I can go make this myself. Why I need them?
Yeah.
I think what's more important to me is being able to cater to a community that is able to have my food, but also can be able to have it at a reasonable price. And, my mother always tells me, money will come.
Yeah.
Money will always come. Money's always going to be there. It'll come in different aspects and it'll come in different ways. But when it comes down to what it is that you want for yourself, when it comes down to how you go about connecting with someone else, that's the more important. That's because this is something that's going to last forever.
Yeah.
So just knowing, what my mama said you can't cook means to me, what it means to myself when it comes down to knowing that this is something that I want to be able to hand off to my son. And interestingly enough, like, he has his own name that he's going to have for it after my time is gone.
Right.
He wants to be able to rename it. My mama still said, my mama still said you can't cook.
Right.
Which is, was hilarious to him. But, just things like that is the more important thing for me.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can still be able to inspire our community within the Atlanta area to kind of do the same thing. It's not about money. It's always about what it is that we can be able to do with something that belongs to us and that's made by us.
Yeah. Everybody has a story, and everybody has their own way again of starting. So, you say there's no incorrect way of starting.
Right.
And you wish you had known that earlier.
Right.
So, what mistakes did you make early on that you now see as necessary parts of the journey?
Mistakes that I made early on is starting a business or starting ideas with someone that does not have the same exact passion that you do. It can be able to make you feel like it's a waste of time, and it can also uninspire you when it comes down to being able to continue on with the business idea that you have in your mind to somebody may come and say the person that you're doing the business with to be able to say, no, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't like that, and blah, blah, blah. And they'll be so into anything else that they're doing that when it comes down to what it is that y'all originally had conversation about and started a business together, it'll pretty much almost put you in a position of feeling like, well, what I'm doing is wrong, and I might as well just go ahead and walk on away from this. Let me go ahead and go right back to my 9-to-5 job and then hope to retire from this and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Do your thing. Whatever it feels good to you, move forward with it. Try it, no matter how crazy it sounds. And in a way of being able to say, like, there's no such thing as a bad idea. There's really no such thing as a bad idea.
Yeah.
Try it. Try everything. Try it more than once. If it doesn't work out the first time, go back to the drawing board. Try something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But don't go throughout life and not try something and then come to going back to wanting to try your idea 10 years later, and you look up and you're 35 years old when you knew that you had the same exact idea 10 years prior when you were 25 years old.
Yeah.
Try it. Move forward with it. There's nothing that is too bad of an idea when it comes down to wanting to be able to continue on with something that sounds good to you.
Yeah. It's giving Walt Disney and Tyler Perry.
Absolutely.
All the no's, they alright, but that one yes, and that one yes can be you. We know that, again, most black entrepreneurs, or a lot of black entrepreneurs, are personally financing their businesses when they're starting off and that sort of thing. So every decision, matters. Every decision matters. So your biggest obstacle, you say, is balancing regular life and deciding which ventures are worth the return on investment risk with your personal money. So how do you make those decisions, and have you ever bet wrong?
Well, for one, with my personal decisions, when it comes down to something that is coming from my personal money, I make those decisions based off of how I feel and understanding that there is no wrong decision. And what I mean by that is that when it comes down to rolling the dice, if you will, anybody who shoots craps and plays, little role or something, they understand that when it comes down to making a decision to try something, it's based off of how you feel in the moment.
Yeah.
No matter who tells you that it's not, I don't know if that's a good idea, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, if you put up the money for it, you should be the recipient of it as well. So just the same way that a lot of us go to that same Shell gas station and ask for a couple of cars to go ahead and scratch and things like that. I mean, you are spending $2 every time you go up in there.
Right.
But, I mean, who comes out winning $10,000? There are some people that do that.
Might be one.
Yeah, I might be one. You never know. So I think a lot of times when it comes down to the decisions that I make, it's also based off of where it is that I'm doing good, where it is that I'm deciding to be a vendor at. Being that I live in the Atlanta area, a lot of times I'll go to different places like Lawrenceville to be able to make these, to be able to set up as a vendor. With the food that I make, being that it is gourmet Southern food, it's not, at Lawrenceville isn't something that is as African American inspired, things like that. So when it comes out to it, being able to know that the main races that are out there are primarily white and Hispanic. Yeah. They love our food.
Right.
We're going to keep it a buck. Like, they love gourmet Southern food. So me knowing that I can be able to make something phenomenal, but also being able to sell it at a low price point to be able to have them remembering my name, and then be able to say, hey, I need you at my event.
Yeah.
I need you in my backyard, quite frankly.
Right.
This is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I think things like that is what put me in positions to be able to make the decisions that I make when it comes down to understanding what's important to me and putting up my own money for something like that, as opposed to somebody else telling you that, I don't know if that's a good idea. Man, well, if you don't think that's a good idea, where your money at?
Right.
Then be quiet. We good.
You paying?
You paying? How much you doing?
Yeah.
But until then, I would say to anybody that's making a decision to be able to try something, try it. take a leap at something.
Yeah.
Take a leap at anything to be able to make sure that, or just to see how it feels. See what you learn from it. If you don't learn something from it, count the things that you did get from it when it came down to your understanding that it went the way that you said that you felt like it went, and then understand what you can get, what it is that you can do better in the next venture that you do.
Again, you finance everything through your personal savings. The flat top grill, the tent, the tables, the food. Talk about that leap of faith that you just mentioned, and the financial pressure that comes along with betting on yourself.
The financial pressure that comes with it is, and this is in the place of me being absolutely honest. I've been in positions where I've had to roll the dice financially to where knowing that I'm not going to pay rent on time.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks. And knowing that if I don't make this X amount of dollars for this, then I'm going to have to push rent back another 2 weeks. But at the same time, it's like, well, what's more important? Being able to pay somebody else to be able to make sure that you are having somewhere to stay, and then having to know that you have to have maybe $100, $200 added to what it is that you have to pay for rent, or taking a leap on yourself to be able to see if you can get to a place to where you have that one person that can be able to say, hey, I need you for the rest of the year. I need to sign you on for the rest of the year to be able to have you at all of my events.
Yeah.
I think when anybody who has a business, it's all about taking that leap of faith and trying something, try it more than once.
Yeah.
So I think things like that are really, it's things that really inspired me. But I also have taken my L's in it. I've taken my L's, like I said, in not paying rent on time. I've taken my L's in not being able to pay my car note or my car insurance and things like that. Do I care? Yeah, I care.
Yeah.
But not enough that I care about understanding that I can get to somewhere far,
right,
than being able to roll the dice on just me and only me.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that is really pushing me when it comes down to my company and pushing me into me being the person that I want to be when it comes down to a representation of my company.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's inspiring for a lot of people to know that you like, you know what, I'm gonna get to them next month. I mean, everybody makes choices about something, and you may say, "Oh, well, I ain't gonna pay my rent because I want to pop bottles." Well, bet on yourself with your business. So, that's
Absolutely.
Initially, like most people, you were, in a circle of the people that you knew,
right.
And since then, your business inner circle has drastically changed. So, and it now includes high value people with better understanding of your vision and how to help you get there. So, what shifted, number one, because the people got to know. And, how did you attract those caliber of relationships? How did you get out of just the regular, your own people that you knew?
Right. Well, for one, I would say the main thing that shifted is when it comes down to the individuals that I have dealt with, like you said, the caliber of people that I dealt with. I had to let a lot of people go.
Yeah.
When it comes down to you wanting to be in a better place, and when it comes down to you being in a place that is inspiring for yourself or just inspiring for people around you, you have to also let of that energy go. And a lot of that energy is the people that we've been friends with for 15, 17, 20 years.
Yeah.
Understanding that you ain't going nowhere no time soon. You're going to still be in that same club that you've been in for the past 10 years. And you're going to still call me to be able to say, hey, come and pull up on me. Sir, you ain't got nothing for me.
Yeah.
And I ain't got nothing for you.
Yeah.
It was nice while it lasted, but I want something better for myself. Yeah. So I would really be able to say that understanding that when it comes down to the people that we hang around has a lot to do with what it is that we want for ourselves, but an observation of how things go every single Friday night when we get paid, or every other Friday night when we get paid. what does it look like for you?
Yeah.
What are the phone calls that you get to be able to come on, pull up on somebody, to go out for drinks and things like that? It's the same reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
And when it comes out to the people that are in the place that you want to be at, what do they do?
Right.
On a Friday night or any type of night, during a holiday or things like that. A lot of times the people that I've ran into, and answer the other part of your question, and that I've really been inspired by and actually become good friends with, are people that actually are in the house on Friday night and going over material for a business venture that they're about to take on.
Yeah.
Or maybe going to a gala or any type of big meeting for other individuals that have the same idea and same inspirations behind something that they want to do with their business.
Yeah.
And then being able to listen to someone else and how they actually went about getting there. Yeah. I would say within the past 6 months has been a lot of that. I've been able to become friends with a lot of high caliber, important people.
Yeah.
And been able to shake hands with a lot of people to where I've ran back into them 3 months later. And, oh, you Chef Darius Lintz. What's up, man? Hey, I know I didn't get to talk to you last time. Let's exchange numbers. Let's sit down. Let's talk.
Yeah.
And when it comes out to even dealing with them, a lot of times they'll speak with you to be able to see if you are going to follow up with what it is that they're talking about in the first place. I think a lot of friends, a lot of people who know me is that when I say I'm going to do something, well, I mean that.
Yeah.
I mean exactly what I say. So when it comes out to even me being able to be one to say that I'm going to do something for somebody else or to somebody else, I mean what I say in that regard as well. So I think with me being able to get back up with these individuals and call them the week later and say, hey, I remember I ran into you. I want to see if we can sit down for dinner and have a conversation and be able to kind of just get some inspiration from you. I think they were surprised within themselves to be able to know that, hey, this is going to be something that I would be interested in as far as being able to relate information to a younger brother to be able to give him understanding of how I got to where I am.
Yeah.
And that's what really pushed me to be able to kind of do that.
Gotcha. So, cool. Yeah, that follow-up is important.
Very important.
The Brothers on Business event connected you with 100 Black male business owners. What specific doors has that network opened, and how has it changed your approach to business?
Okay. Well, yeah, the 100 Brothers on Business event is actually something that really opened the doors for me when it came down to dealing with other individuals that also had podcasts, and then also ones that really just simply needed catering for their Friendsgivings and things like that. During that time, I was able to shake a lot of people's hands and really be able to have conversations with individuals that were in different places when it came down to just the city of Atlanta and how they were doing things within business. So it really put me in position to be able to observe and analyze and just sit there and be able to see people who were doing things at a larger level than I was, and to automatically be inspired by how they were doing it. It's one thing to be able to hear how somebody's doing something, but to automatically be invited to different things and different events to where I can just be able to sit there and just be in the crowd of individuals with what it is that they're doing in the moment, to be able to understand, like, this is what it feels like. This is what it looks like to be able to talk to individuals that are dealing with people who are like of high caliber and high value. Really put me in that great position. So it's like from that moment until I would say the end of November, I've been invited to about 6 or 7 different type of gala-like events to where I can just simply go there and shake some hands.
Oh, wow.
And just sit there and have conversations. And I think that was really all I needed.
a lot is going on. You know, we've switched locations. We're back in a more familiar space now. And we've had some cooking going on. You know, you said as a Black entrepreneur, you have to be believable. Like if you specialize in Southern gourmet cooking or gourmet Southern cooking, you know, you have to look like it. So you know, unpack that for me. What do you mean by that?
When you look like it, what I mean by looking like it is when it comes down to really being able to create the understanding that gourmet Southern cooking is what you do. Really being able to step inside of your kitchen to be able to, like you said, to be able to unpack the understanding, be able to unpack the idea of what gourmet Southern cooking is, even down to how things are being put together in gourmet Southern cooking with different dishes. Whether you're from Louisiana, whether you're from Florida, Georgia, Texas, wherever, you should be able to, you know, name different dishes, and not just the dishes, but also the details within the dishes that make gourmet Southern cooking what it is and such. So those type of conversations, I think, are necessary when it comes down to like your journey in culinary, to be able to kind of keep you on track of what exactly you want to focus on when it comes down to your favorite type of dishes and what type of chef you would exactly like to be able to make yourself. So I think that's kind of what has guided me when it came down to really understanding what the long haul journey would be, and then what is the end game of all this. You know, I've worked in a lot of different kitchens before, but when it comes down to what it is that I grew up on, what was my favorite, being able to understand the different mother sauces, being able to understand different rices, rice pilaf, even when it comes down to understanding your different types of meats. It's necessary to be able to put together your own personal dishes of what really makes you you. And ironically enough, you know, the same things that make you the same things that make you make you what you are as a person, as far as your characteristics, interestingly enough, works the same way when it comes down to you cooking and such. So yeah, those type of things are really kind of what shaped and molded me as a chef.
Well, the people know I like to eat. So, you know, you prepared this meal and I'm ready to try it, you know. So why don't we bring food on?
Yeah, that's right.
What do we have here?
This is a Philly cheesesteak quesadilla, and this is also a watermelon pico de gallo. I know a lot of people are really, you know, used to the typical pico de gallo of the watermelon and the onions and things of that nature, but mine's is more so with a mango as well as a watermelon instead of the tomatoes.
Oh, so it doesn't have tomato.
No tomatoes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I mean, you can add tomatoes if you would like, but me myself, when it comes down to being able to mesh two very different types of flavor and to be able to kind of meet well in the middle, this is what kind of does it for me.
Okay. What makes this gourmet Southern cooking? What is gourmet Southern cooking?
Gourmet Southern cooking is the combination of basically any type of meats that you would like, but it's also a combination of your meat, your vegetables, really your sauces. And I'm not saying sauces like as far as like, you know, any Italian mother sauces like, you know, your volutes and things like that, but you know, the basic sauces that are available to be able to make something phenomenal that really started out as something so simple. So, you know, for example, this right here starts with a queso cheese. Well, it starts with a provolone, but as queso cheese is added within it to be able to make it something, you know, more extravagant and such. But a queso cheese is also something that, when it comes down to a really good cheese, is something that's more so on the Mexican side of things. But I mean, when it comes down to it, a lot of queso cheese is used within Texas Southern gourmet dishes as well. So that's what I really do within this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's try it. Mm, mm, mm. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this is what I'm interested in right here. This is the watermelon pico. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Okay, yeah, cut your tomatoes out. Yeah, cut your tomatoes out. Because this, I mean, it gives like sweet and spicy and savory and cheese and cholesterol. Yeah. It is good. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. It's not what I expected. So I don't know what I expected, but yeah. 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 I mean, most of the time when you have a Philly cheesesteak of some sort, I mean, you're going to get, a really good cheesy, maybe somewhat, I don't want to say tart, but somewhat tart type of flavor. But I also know that being able to add a watermelon pico de gallo in it kind of takes it to a whole nother place. But I think the bigger goal is to be able to have both the things meet right in the middle. So you don't have anything that's too sweet, you don't have anything that's too tart or anything like that. Right. It's the best of both worlds when it comes down to being able to make something as good as that. Oh yeah, it's good. I promise you, it's good. Good. As he talk, I'm gonna keep eating. Your vision includes, bringing people, from incarceration to employment, so out of the system. Black and brown folks, specifically, what is your plan for, identifying and vetting and training, and creating that pathway, for those groups of people? Yeah, well, what I kind of had envisioned, and interestingly enough, it's kind of the same way that I really started in culinary. I was able to kind of, I want to say back in 2010 or 2009, right? Yeah, I was able to go to culinary school at City of Refuge. It was right off of Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. It's actually a women's and children's shelter. Mm. And this women's and children's shelter obviously kind of caters more to them that are less fortunate and that are, trying to get back up on their feet. And I really just need somewhere to stay until they get back up on their feet. But during that time, they were also providing a culinary program for, people that needed some culinary type of guidance, so that way they can be able to get the basic essentials of what it is that they needed from a trained professional, and then that way they can be pushed into the industry. That's what I did. I was there for 3 months, and then enjoyed every second of it. So every bit of food that we made actually ended up going to the women and children that needed to be able to eat for dinner. Mm. And then I come right back the next morning and be able to get my lessons and learning pretty much the same way every day. I take, different tests and things like that. And then 3 months later, I graduate. And then maybe I stayed after probably about 2 or 3 more months as an internship, and then finally got thrown out into, the industry as a whole. So I think that is kind of what really shaped and molded me, interestingly enough, to be able to come to this point 15, 16 years later, to be able to kind of run into individuals that, interestingly enough, are less fortunate, not in the same exact fashion that the women and children were, but right. They're also coming out of a system as well. So really my plan is to be able to go ahead and move into, or pretty much link with different individuals that are having temp companies, and maybe just starting their temp companies to be able to, have access to them, so that way when I'm able to have the different individuals that are leaving out of the jail system, to be able to push them in that direction of these temp companies that need this type of work. Wow. And that way I can put 2 and 2 together, and then everybody can be able to win. You catered an event for the LGBTQ plus programs, around 65 people. You mentioned that specifically because you're a straight man. Now, what motivated you to serve that community, and what did it teach you about expanding your reach?
Well, I mean, the first thing that motivated me to be able to do that is that, I mean, if I'm being honest, when it comes down to my community of straight men and things, I think we have to kind of get rid of the whole idea that just because another man is gay that we have to avoid being able to work with them. For one, from what I learned from the LGBTQ community, these men are not looking at you, and they don't care nothing about what you look like or anything like that.
Yeah.
Secondly, when it comes down to working with them, from what I found, from my own personal experience, is that when it comes down to you wanting to be able to reach a higher level of success and things like that, majority of the men in the Atlanta area that have the most successful businesses are gay.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to you wanting to be able to, broaden your horizons and being able to move up to a certain level and things like that, you have to be able to be willing to move into dealing with another type of individuals that have a different type of sexuality than you, and that's absolutely fine. But when it comes down to dealing with straight men and speaking with them, their perspective on things is something that sometimes gets a little frustrating because of how they go about really looking at moving when it comes down to dealing with other people. Sometimes when it comes down to dealing with other women, they can't be able to have a business relationship with them without having a sexual relationship with them. Yeah. And it's a little aggravating to be able to know that I can't be able to deal with a woman on a business level without her being able to suspect that I already want to be able to have something more than them. And it's not her fault that she feels that way, but because of individuals that have come before me that they have been just as good looking and things like that, I also want something out of her. And that's not the case.
Right.
As such. So I think that when it comes down to us as in the straight community and business owners, I think that we have to be able to, somebody got to step up and say, we're going to also connect the dots and be able to do this type of thing with the LGBTQ community, because at the end of the day, they ain't done nothing to you. And secondly, we need them just as much as they may need us and things like that. So I would say that on that side of things when it comes down to why I've been so motivated to be able to move forward with them.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All money is green.
Yeah, all money is green.
All money green. A minute ago, you talked about working with temp companies. And so, we're looking at, somebody's coming out of the system, you connect them with a temp company, but you also want to continue a relationship with them and mentoring them to start their own business. What does this mentorship look like in practicality, and what would success mean beyond just employment?
Well, for one, what it looks like is really being able to take young men and, maybe young women as well that are younger than me, that are just now coming up into the system, that may have been locked up since they were 18 and just getting out at 25, that decided they understand exactly what they want to do. And when it comes down to understanding that culinary is something that I like food. I like being able to make food. I like being able to cook food and see other people's reaction to it. I think really when it comes down to that personal understanding, with being able to put my arm around one of them and say, hey, let me give you a better way. Let me actually give you direction when it comes down to how to do this. Because a lot of guys that they'll get graduate culinary school, and that school will give them no type of direction when it comes down to being able to join a restaurant or whoever, or join a chef or whoever, to be able to understand, like, well, sure, I can be able to work with you and such, but are you going to be able to give my student guidance in what it is that they need to be doing and what do they need to be learning so they can be on the right path within the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that a lot of times that's the thing that, and this is from my personal experience, I've learned that, sure, I got put in the direction of being able to work my first job at Crown Plaza Hotel, and that was a lot of fun. However, after that, I would just kind of like had to figure it out on my own, of like the direction that felt good for me and the food that I wanted to be able to cook, or what food do I need to learn how to make in the sense of, am I going to be a line cook? Am I going to be somebody that's cooking for old people? Am I going to be a chef that wants to be able to hopefully learn how to be able to cook for a large group of catering gigs and things like that? There's so many different directions that you can go. But if you don't have an individual that has gone through these different things to be able to at least sit by you and watch you and understand what kind of chef you are, and maybe you're someone who is not as organized, and you can be able to use someone who can help you be able to be a little bit more organized, then maybe they have a direction for you. So I think that when it comes down to me and what it is that I'm trying to do, to be able to take these young men, young women, whoever, to be able to help give them that direction just based off of simple observation and just asking a few questions. So I think that means a lot to me in that sense when it comes down to culinary.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mentorship matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When it's needed.
Yeah. For historical context, I know it's very close to you in thinking about how the ancestors, made gourmet Southern food for lower prices. And now that same food, at different places, you kind of talked about it earlier, and, the different spots, even in Atlanta, it's expensive and it's confusing, because it's the same food. What are you trying to educate people through, making your prices different?
I think really more so, this is more so about marketing. And, I've kind of been educated within that regard, but in the sense of being able to market not just your company, but also market your prices. I think that knowing that it's not even necessarily about price value, but it's more so about quantity, of knowing that based off of your price value, that your quantity will always come. And I think we could be able to kind of agree with this with being able to look at the differences between Walmart and Target.
Right.
Target they gonna eat, they gonna get theirs, but Walmart, quantity wise, gets a lot more business than Target does and such. And I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell because, during Christmas season, Thanksgiving, they both just as, but when we talk about like, as far as who it is that comes there for X, Y, and Z, Walmart I've never seen an empty Walmart in my life.
And it's more of them.
It is a lot more of them. So I think that when it comes down to me being able to have, my mama said you can't cook, and then to be able to also being a setting where there's another guy across the way with, whatever company that's called. My auntie said you can't cook.
Yeah.
Cool. However, I think that when it comes down to the price value of what he is selling his food at $22, and which I've witnessed before, and then me being able to sell my price at $14, well, I mean, between 2 days, I've got 80 people that I've dealt with, or that I've got to do business with, versus his that wasn't so long. I don't know how many he got, but it wasn't no 80 people.
Yeah.
And such. So, and he had really good food, So I think, like I said, a lot of times it's more so about quantity. I think business will always come, but when it comes down to you first starting out and starting your business, I'm not saying be willing to take a hit, but what I am saying is that pay more attention to the importance of, being able to feel comfortable with longevity. And longevity has been the biggest thing that's got me to this place right now
of being able to talk to the people that I deal with, and being able to be mentored by different individuals that I deal with, just because they, I think they really understand that I have kind of seen the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And it feels great to be able to do that and not have to worry so much about, the money that I'm making and things like that.
So basically, you understand the long game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you're saying an automatic come up is irritating. Nobody wants to get it out of the mud. So, talk to me about that and, how it relates to your business philosophy.
I think really when it relates to my business philosophy, really when I was watching an interview with Kendrick Lamar one day, big Kendrick Lamar fan, and he really explained the importance of compounding in business, and being able to know what it is to compound, and being able to put a certain amount of money within a pocket. If you get my meaning, but then also to be able to let the money that you put in that pocket grow with interest, and let it grow slowly and gradually, because of you being able to simply take that risk, and being able to make sure that your money is something that is growing in a rate that isn't necessarily something that you need overnight, but you need it to be able to go in a direction.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to you being able to take on another venture, you need to be able to reach back somewhere to be able to have that type of money and such. So I think that when it came down to my business, it reminds me a lot of being able to start a compound interest like business, because it doesn't mean a whole lot to me to be able to have an overnight come up and things like that. I'm not hitting the lotto, and I don't really care a lot about being able to have the big business. What I do care about is being able to have the business that comes from people that can be able to say and verify that my mama said you can't cook is official for X, Y, and Z reasons. And it has nothing to do with money whatsoever. It has something to do with great customer service. It has everything to do with the prices that are being said. It has everything to do with being able to have a unbelievable taste in the food that you almost have to look back at your counterparts, whoever you would at the time, to be able to say, what's the catch?
Right.
And I think that's what I really want. I really wanted to be able to look at a price and be like, okay, what's the catch? It's got to be a small quesadilla.
Yeah.
$14. Like, no, it's exactly what I said.
Right.
It's a 10-inch quesadilla. And it comes with your queso and all your vegetables and your meat or chicken and things like that. And it comes with a watermelon pickle they got. So, yeah, we here to make people very happy.
I ate it. I'm a witness. You have a different take on vendors. So technically, you have a concept that you're evolving in your brain to be more of like an attraction. So bringing in multiple tents, live music, DJs, drummers, kind of like a DC block party feel. Will you paint that picture? Paint that picture for us, and give us that full experience of what you're trying to create. Kind of like, the Golden Girls, picture it, Sicily, 1912.
Right. Yeah. I think that really being able to create something different when it comes down to being a vendor, and being able to create like almost like a block party like feel for things, really kind of takes us back to where I think a lot of us that's in our mid-30s were back in the 90s and such. I mean, to be able to go to different parties or different little block parties and things like that. I think over the past, I want to say during 2023, 2022, I took some trips up to DC. And I went to DC. This is my first time going up to DC. And I was inspired. I was inspired by being able to go through, I can't remember what part of DC it was, but places that had just the same exact thing, just vendors. And then, up there they have like go-go music and things like that. But to be able to see them have just these large tents, these large barbecue, being able to, have chicken, steak, everything that you would even really think of. But to also have the live music that's going on. And now this is all during the evening. This ain't in the middle of the day. This is 7, 8 o'clock at night with the sun going down. Was something that I had thought about because, I was so inspired by it, by also knowing when it comes down to me being in Atlanta or just being in the South, I had never seen anything like that ever in my life and such. But to also know that me being a vendor, I like doing things outside the box.
Yeah.
I like doing things that nobody really is doing or nobody has ever done. So being that I did the vendor at the West Side Motor Lounge, that's right off of Bankhead, right on the West Side. So being able to observe the different type of feel that they had at that time, they had like these big, larger rock bands, but I was just kind of thinking like, well, what if?
Yeah. Goals for 2026. You're targeting like 4 to 5 different large events, and how are you scaling? To prepare for that. One of our things that our listeners want to know is like, when I get ready to grow, how do I make sure that I'm ready to grow?
Well, when it comes down to preparation, when it comes down to getting ready to go, I think that's really within what I said. It's preparation.
Yeah.
When I first did signed up for the West Side Motor Lounge, I signed up for that in January. And then just being able to see the availability of it when it came down to just the pricing of what it would be for deposit. And then keeping an understanding of the job that I was working at the time, how much I was making. But again, like I said earlier, coming down to rolling the dice, and knowing that if you don't do it now, you won't ever do it.
Right.
So I think that when it comes down to really being able to get into the understanding of what feels best for you and what looks best for you, is really just being able to know, where you are at financially, but also know what it is that you're willing to take a risk on and such, but also being smart within the risk that you're taking. Most of all, it takes a lot of being humble and knowing that you could either go into this and come out something phenomenal, or B, you could sink from this and then have to come out understanding what went wrong.
Yeah.
But both options, you have to also be willing to take the risk on, no matter what it is.
With that preparation, do you see yourself maybe expanding your team, or having more people to help you, or your marketing strategies change, or what do you see with that part?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm always open for to be able to expand my team. Really with being able to even possibly turn into like a nonprofit organization. I'm always down for that. But when it comes down to me being someone that is more concerned more so about the business itself and how to be able to, again, how to compound and such, the financial aspect of it doesn't really matter to me in the beginning and such. But if I could be able to have a team or grow a team that is willing to be able to sit down and have similar conversations of what it is that they want as well, and we can be able to lock eyes on the same thing, then I'm all down for being able to pretty much grow the team. So for the moment being, when it comes down to like for the next thing that I'll take on, or the next vendor that I'll be able to take on, it comes sometime in the middle of December. I have a couple of friends that are being able to do this with me.
Right.
And these are like real friends that, are not coming and saying they want nothing, they gotta come with their hands out, nothing like that.
Yeah.
They just want to be a part of what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah. You mentioned catering niche events that are not necessarily mainstream. Why is that important to you, and how does serving underrepresented communities align with your overall mission?
Well, I think serving underrepresented communities really kind of puts me, regardless of where I'm at during that time. I could have climbed the status of something extremely high. I think being able to always be humble and knowing that at some point in time I was exactly where they were.
Yeah.
And being able to know that when it comes down to dealing with a lot of these different types of people that, you know, we'll climb the ranks with and things like that, sometimes we forget. And we forget who it is that we were 15 years ago,
right.
and who it is that we were around 15, 20 years ago and such. And there may be a young man or young woman that is trying to do the exact same thing that we're trying to do. And sometimes God sets it up that way for them to not only know that they're doing the exact same thing, but they might be a little bit more talented than you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have a hard time really being able to admit that. We're like, oh no, I've been learning this.
Right.
Yeah, all right, okay. That God has his way of smacking you upside your head and like, let me show you something.
Right.
So,
somebody else out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think really being able to, you know, get involved with these type of events allows me to be able to shake the hands of different people and possibly, you know, even give them guidance on some things that I didn't know when I was their age.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important to me because, like I said, I've been that person that's been in the classroom or been amongst a crowd of people that's been raising my hand saying, pick me, and I never got picked.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's something that I aspire to do as well.
You're still early in the journey. And, you know, from that first night at Westside Motor Lounge with amateur equipment that we talked about, to now building a vision that's around second chances and food justice and, you know, changing perceptions of gourmet Southern cuisine. You know, what's driving you forward every day? And for the person listening who's working their regular job, you know, but they have a passion and they're afraid to pursue it, you know, what would you say about taking that leap of faith with limited resources and big dreams?
I would say really for one, you have limited resources. I think a lot of people have limited resources. I have limited resources sometimes, depending on what it is. Being able to use what you have in the moment to be able to get to where you want to be is really, really important. I mean, like I said, I had a flat top that purchased for, I want to say it was $65, $70 off of Amazon. You know, put it together myself, and you know, all I needed was a little gas tank with it, and that was it. But understanding that the talent that you have will always outweigh the resources that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the talent, the resources will always come to you. And you know, I think that when it comes down to something like that, it's extremely important to be able to hold on to the talent and continue building your talent and understanding to be able to read up on things that you did not know in regards to your talent. If you're trying to be a chef, be around other chefs that can be able to give you that certain type of guidance that you need in that aspect, because if you don't, being around other people that are not as like-minded will only drag you down.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hear it in the way that they talk, you hear it in the way that they, you know, the way that they are being able to, you know, give you or uplift you when you kind of give them good news about, you know, a certain job that you may have started that is in regards to culinary or anything like that. So it's extremely important to be able to know the direction that you want to go in and to be able to also carry that along with you in different regards, and knowing that the talent that you have is the biggest and most important aspect of anything. And I've never seen anybody who is as successful today from, you know, your Michael Jordans to, you know, to, you know, your Chef Ramsay, to anybody that didn't start out in some small, very small, tiny aspect,
mm-hmm.
and grew their way up just based off of one specific thing, just the talent.
Yeah.
Carry that with you, everything else will fall into place.
Well, Chef Darius, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here. As you can see, after I ate, I've been kind of struggling ever since just to like stay up with you, you know, but you know, you have really brought it today. You brought amazing food. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. I mean, you know, You won't be disappointed. It's amazing. But like I say, thank you for sharing so much wisdom with the audience today. And I am sure that people will, gravitate to the information that you've dropped today. The humble meets nonprofit meets let's go help people who may not have anybody else looking out for them, underrepresented groups. I mean, all types of things have happened in this interview today. So I just want to appreciate you for taking the time out to come talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Hey, I'm Chef Darius Lintz. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for taking the time now to listen to me. If you'd like to contact me, my Instagram is at I am Chef Darius. My Facebook is at Darius Lintz. Also, if you'd like to be able to contact me by phone number, I'm not hard to reach. I also run from nobody. So 770-296-8571. Hit me up. I'm available for questions. I'm also available for booking. Thank you for having me.
That's another episode of Business in the Black, where Black entrepreneurs turn vision into victory. Ready for more game-changing strategies and success stories? Connect with us everywhere. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Business in the Black Pod. Spotify and Apple Podcast. Business in the Black. Keep building, keep growing, keep winning, and keep building your legacy.
It's the food. I didn't start doing all this till the food got involved. I'm tired. I'm black. I eat and I go to sleep. I don't do nothing after I eat.